Hello guys, what's up? Lala Polan and Yubis here, making videos for you guys again, and today we're gonna continue our part 2 of applying Bootstrap template, which is in this scenario AdminLTE template to Yi framework manually. Yesterday or on our previous video, I did a time lapse of me coding my way to apply AdminLTE Bootstrap template to Yi framework. And today in this video, I'm gonna briefly explain to you guys how I managed to do that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, before I show to you guys how you guys can apply any kind of Bootstrap template on Yi framework, you guys must know first how Yi framework works, how any kind of your chosen backend framework works. They may be varies from one to another, but I reckon most of them will use the same architecture concept, which is MVC architecture. So what is MVC stands for? MVC is literally stands for model, view, and controller. So what does MVC have anything to do with applying any kind of template to any backend framework? Before I go straight right into that matter, we need to clarify first some of the things that will make you guys understand better about MVC architecture or how most of the backend framework works. When you start learning how to code, in this case coding a website, all websites compulsory must have three phases or three parts that makes them into a page or website. And they are first, the look of the page or the website, which is most of them content of HTML codes and some JavaScript JS and style sheet CSS code known as the front end codes that make up the look of the page. Like how you guys can see here, if I open any source code of the page, let's say the front or the home page, the index page of the website, it will reveals to us the codes of this particular page, which you guessed it, contain HTML codes. This section calls the style sheet or CSS codes. And the end of the page contains the section where it calls the JavaScript or JS codes that helps make the look of the page. The second part will be the data shown in the page. If you look here, every point on the graph hold a different values, and these values is stored in database and was called to be presented or to be viewed in this particular graph. Every website out there have their own database that hold their own data, and each data is held in a certain table created in a database. There's two ways developers usually handle how their data to be viewed as. One is where they hard-coded them in their HTML codes, and the other one is where they stored them in the database and call them whenever they decided to use the data. Each way is being used in a different kind of scenario. Like for example, if you see here, this template we have here, it only covers the face or the looks of the website, meaning the source code that we will get once we download it, it will only contain the first part of how you create a page or a website I just mentioned earlier, which was the front end code. It contains HTML codes, JavaScript JS, and style sheet CSS codes only. They have no database. That's why they were called front end template. Most of the template you could get out there will pretty much only covers the look of the website or the front end of the website, not the back end of the website, where you could manage and control the flow of your data in and out of the database. Where it brings us to our next part or phase, which is the back end part of your website. This part usually handles how your data is being moved across your platform, in this case your website, from your database. It doesn't matter whether you get your data through forms from your front end code, in this case your Bootstrap template AdminLTE, or you get the data from your database and route it out to the front end of your website like these dots we have here in this graph. Both ways will have to go through the back end codes that gonna help you guys route your data in and out of your database. So with all these parts explained, what they have to do anything with MVC architecture? Let me explain and show you guys in a simple illustration. We have model, view, and controller. Each one of them control or do certain tasks that represent their own niche. View is where we basically control or code the look of our page or website. So each pages found in a website hold their own unique view. For example, the home page have this kind of view. It has graph, map, and some other stuff. While if I go to Advanced Elements page under Forms menu bar, it will have its own kind of view. It has a bunch of input forms, no graph or map or whatsoever. Model is where we call and code our data from the database. This is where we identify and control which data should be stored in which table present in database, or which data in which table should we call or get from the database. The controller is the backbone of any MVC architecture applied framework. It controls the flow of the page and data throughout your website. Whenever you want to navigate yourself from home page to any page of your website, the controller will send a command determine which view should pop up when you click the navigation menu sidebar. And without specifying which codes in controller where should it go when user click any link in the navigation menu sidebar, it will give us an error of not found the page we're looking for. The same will happen with the flow of data in and out from a database. The data you call from a model will go through and process through controller, and lastly will be sent to any specific view specified in the controller. So if your controller not coded well, your website might not work like how you imagine it's supposed to be. So where am I going with this? We already know about the three parts that makes a website and MVC architecture found and being applied in most of the backend framework. With all this information, I can then now show you guys how fundamentally any backend framework MVC architecture driven works when applying to any kind of Bootstrap template. Before the existence of these backend frameworks, developers usually code their website repetitively and all in one kind of style, like how most of computer science students being taught at schools or college. What I mean by that is, let's say we have 3 pages or view in our website. We usually gonna have the header, the top navigation bar, maybe navigation menu sidebar, or content of the page which is known as the body of the page, and last but not least our footer. All these elements will be also applied in our second and third page, where some of the elements might not have the same content and some will do, like our top header, our sidebar menu, and the footer that will not change whenever we navigate through any of the pages. So we can say for sure now that only the body will change. But without the backend framework, what we will end up doing is we code these pages repetitively. The header, the top, and the sidebar menu and the footer will be coded repetitively, and the body is the only one that have a different code section. Not to mention, we also dumped all 3 parts of codes, the model, the view, and the controller codes in one page or view. This style of coding is not good and could take a lot of time to load up all the same information repetitively every time we navigate ourselves through the pages. But with the existence and the helps from the backend framework such as YE framework, we don't yet need to code the same elements over and over again on a different page of view. Instead, we separate them all together. Before, we have all elements in the same page or view, but now all elements have their own page or view and being controlled by the controller to place and route them to where they're supposed to go. With this method, we no longer need to code our second page repetitively, or only the content of the body section that need to be created and coded. The header, the top menu, sidebar menu, and the footer will be reused again. This way, we save time and the website will work more efficiently. Okay guys, I think this is all for now. Learning the architecture concept behind most of the backend framework, MVC architecture, and some of the previous development process of making a website gonna help you guys to better understand how YE framework works. On my next video, I'm gonna finally show you guys how to apply AdminLTE Bootstrap template to YE framework, and I reckon you guys will be able to follow it pretty well by then. So until next time, see you guys again. Ciao.